The following program is being brought to you on the Seventh Wave Network. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit seventhwavenetwork.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management. Welcome to Awakening to Conscious Co-Creation with your host, Peter Tongue. This program will provide the groundwork you need to advance your awareness and be involved in the approaching transformation in consciousness. Now, your host, Peter Tongue.
Hello and welcome to Awakening to Conscious Co-Creation. I'm your host, Peter Tongue. Thank you for joining us today. The intention in these episodes is to give you insight into how the planet is shifting in frequency and vibration to a new level of awareness and how you can be part of this grand awakening. And I'd like just to let you know that at this moment in time I am bilocating as I am hosting my own show here on Voice America, and I am a guest of Cyrilla Gallagher on World Puja at the same time. Pretty clever stuff. And my guest today knows all about bilocation and many, many other phenomena. I'm so pleased and delighted to welcome James Gilliland to the show from the Assetti Ranch in southern Washington State. James, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show.
And I know that you host your own radio show, so it's great that we can get together and be hosts and guests and mix it up a little bit.
Oh, I love it. I love to do other shows, even more so than my own shows.
Well, I really want to spend our time today talking about what is happening at Assetti Ranch and what your understanding of it is and where we are in our spiritual development right now. But before we do, I'm always just interested in how people's conscious path opened up for them. And I know that you had a near-death experience, so tell us something about that.
Yes, so what happened is I noticed the near-death experience really brought me back to what I already knew as a child, and that we have that kind of beat out of us through social consciousness and the programming and trying, to gain acceptance and approval in the world in which we live. But I had all kinds of experience happen to me as a kid, and even I had a near-death experience there where I had bronchial pneumonia. And they told my parents I wouldn't be, making it through the night. And a woman all dressed in blue would appear to me and stroke my head. And the last time she appeared, she gave me a white substance, like similar to ice cream, but it wasn't cold, and told me to eat it. And I did, and I was never sick after that. I didn't miss a day of school after that, but that was after 5 years old. But the second... Have
you been able to rediscover the cream, the elixir?
Oh, yeah. I think I have a good idea what it is. But
oh, do you?
I know some biophysicists that are very close to doing something similar. But what happened was I had another one after I'd made my mark in society. I was in commercial real estate. I had my own office. I had people working for me. I had the brand new 280Z, and we had the trucks and the boats and the big house and everything, and then I had a drowning, and then I had a real wake up call. Then I came back ultra sensitive, with the door wide open, and I couldn't function in the world I was in before. It just meant nothing to me. So I had this big awakening that everything I owned actually owned me, and everything I was doing was to gain acceptance and approval outside of myself. And the big aha came that, wait a second, you need to start going within. And when I went within, I didn't need all the other things, all the other accessories, you might say.
And what did you bring as gifts in terms of this going within? What doorways opened up for you?
Well, what happened in the near-death experience, we were raised in a small desert town, and there was only one school there, and it was the Catholic school. And even though we weren't Catholics, we were kind of indoctrinated into that program. And so when I crossed over, I entered into this golden plane of bliss where I was still unique, yet one with this greater consciousness that surrounded me. And I was more in a light body, like a golden light body, you might say. And I had a conversation with this higher consciousness and energy that was surrounding me. And it was the most loving, joyous, blissful, secure energy you could imagine. There's no words for it. But after that experience, the first thing I said was, how can I stay? And the voice came back to me and said, I never told one of my children when to come or go. That's free will. And I go, wait a second, this isn't the program I was taught, in church or at school, So I said, well, how can I earn the right to stay? And it came back to me and said, you cannot earn what is given freely and unconditionally. And so this is just turning my whole program upside down, and most of us kind of burned away anyway in the death experience. And then the last thing I asked was, how can I serve? And I was just held in this, they call it the cradle of God, or just this pure blissful state for a long time. And then finally the answer came back to me and says, what do you want to do? What brings you joy? And, I thought about it, and I said, I want to come back to earth and teach people about the true nature of Source, of God, what it is. It's not this little old man with the laptop, keeping tabs on everybody. It's so far beyond that. It doesn't even have an ego to judge. It's just pure bliss and love and joy. And so the last things I heard were, as you wish, and I was back in the body. But that was, so my experience, having that image to hold on to and that firsthand experience, and kind of an open door to that energy has allowed me to work with others and activate others and help others in their awakening and healing process by transferring that energy to others and help them heal very quickly and gracefully.
So your wish is being fulfilled then?
Yes, and it's gone far beyond that. It's what's interesting is that, like here at the ranch, my idea of what I was doing was, I was going to create a healing center and awakening healing center and bring in the best process-oriented therapies I could find. And, I realized that's what keeps people from their joy is their old wounds and traumas and wrong conclusions from past experiences, including past lives that they're still carrying around often. So by clearing those out, people can reconnect with that loving, joyous, blissful God within, and things happen. That's when miracles happen and spontaneous healings happen and things of that nature. So basically that was my program here, but what I found out is it expanded much further beyond the program that I had into a much, a greater program.
So let's talk about that, what happens at the ranch and perhaps even how that developed in terms of the UFO phenomena that you have happening so frequently there. How did that all begin at the ranch?
Well, it began I've been here about 25 years, and so it was probably around 13 years ago now, 12 or 13 years, right kind of in the middle of being here. I was doing very, intense meditation practices and yoga and some Tibetan practices that I knew, and, doing a lot of counseling work and things of that nature. And one day I was doing an all-day meditation, and a lot of people do these dark retreats and things of that nature, and all of a sudden I started hearing this voice inside of me talking to me, and I felt just this extreme love and bliss coming from this consciousness that there's a telepathic communication going on. And I asked them, where are you from? And I thought they were from like at least fifth dimension or sixth dimension. And they told me, they said, we're coming from the fifth and sixth dimension, our groups that we're working with. And I go, well, that's nice. And then they told me, well, actually, we're coming from a ship. And that was when I lost it. I figure I've totally lost it. My imagination is run amok. I'm quitting. I'm shutting down. I'm going out and plant some trees and get grounded again. And I didn't even make it to the front door, and my sister and a couple of their friends came up banging on the door. And they said, did you see it? Did you see it? And I said, see what? And there was this beautiful light ship hovering right over the ranch, right over the house where I was meditating in. So I had to start combining the two and realizing that, basically it's not just gods, devils, and angels, and people playing harps or burning in hell, that there's much more to the story. And so I started exploring what they call the many mansions of God, and there are all these other planes and dimensions and beings on them, and there's just as much life on those dimensions as there is on this third dimension. And, and all the physicists know there's at least 11 dimensions out there. So, it's a vast, vast multiverse that we live in, and just this universe we're in right now, this 3D world that we're in right now, basically, has, 200 billion suns out there with planets revolving around them in this galaxy, this little Milky Way galaxy we're in. And then you add that to the 500 billion galaxies that they've found, and then you add the other dimensions on to that. The numbers are beyond imagination, that the potential for life out there. So it's so vast. But, if we do run around thinking we're a body and a personality, that's pretty much all we experience.
Absolutely, yeah. We're coming up to our first break, James. Time's flying by, but I do really want us to talk a little bit about the activity that you experience around the ranch with the different UFO and the nature of the different types that show up, and the connection that you have with them, and exactly what information you are gleaning from them. So I'm sure everybody will stay tuned with great interest as we unfold the story of the Assetti Ranch.
Sounds great.
This is Peter Tung for Awakening to Conscious Co-Creation. Welcome back to Awakening to Conscious Co-Creation with your host, Peter Tung. I just want to thank my sponsors for the show, business associates from Omega Global. You can listen to all of the information about Omega Global products from the show that I did with Sam Adams on September the 15th, or you can just click on the banner on my host page to learn all about Omega Global. I'm delighted to have with me today James Gilliland, and we are talking about his experiences at the Assetti Ranch in southern Washington State. And James, I'd just love for you to tell us a little bit more now about the actual nature of the UFO craft that show up and how it works at the ranch.
Well, actually, it's a real diverse group that's appearing here, and it's quite interesting when you get into the phenomenon, because there's if you get it back into the Vedic scriptures, the ancient scriptures, they talk about the different types of craft and the vimanas, or the chariots of the gods. And some of them are metal. They're actually physical. Some of the crafts are actually pure energy. They're like condensed energy. Some ships are light ships. They're magnetized light ships. And some ships are pure consciousness. And they're like Merkabahs. And each level of these ships have beings that resonate at that level. So just as we are a multidimensional being existing on a vibrational continuum, these ships also exist on this vibrational continuum, and there's beings that exist on these ships that are also that correspond to the physics of that dimension, you might say.
So what actually, tell me what actually happens at the ranch. I mean, are you out viewing for ships every night?
Pretty much. We see, at least one or two every night, but some nights we'll see 50 to 100, and, it's crazy. We still see so many different types, and, some of the ships we have photographs are physical. We have, the nuts and bolts are for those groups, but the more interesting ones, I think, are the multidimensional ones that are coming in, the light ships that we see. And they're just enormous. And we have, giant triangle ships. They're just massive. They're coming in from the Andromeda system. They're Andromedans on them. And we have these giant golden ships that are the Orion Council of Light. Some of them look like aircraft carriers. They're that big. They're just massive. And we have cylinder ships, ships that are just your basic disc-type ships that have a huge light around them, and some, it's interesting, they come in every color. We have pink ones, green ones, blue ones, purple ones, every color you can imagine. So there's such an array of things flying overhead here. It's like a portal or an interdimensional gate or something, and they come through, and then right across from us to the north is Mount Adams, which has a long history of UFO activity, and there's actually